In the silence of the night, voices rose, not with open defiance, but in song. To the untrained ear, they were hymns of sorrow and faith, but beneath the melody lay something far more dangerous: hidden maps, secret signals, calls to rebellion. Tonight, we uncover how enslaved people used music, whispers, and coded language to resist bondage, and how these quiet notes became weapons of freedom. The year is 1842. On a quiet plantation in the American South, the night air is heavy, thick, with the smell of soil and sweat. The enslaved laborers gather after a long day's work, their bodies weary, their hands calloused. A single voice begins to sing, steal away home." The song floats across the dark fields. Overseers in the distance hear it and nod. To them, it's just another sorrowful hymn, a prayer to a distant God. But to those who know, the words burn with double meaning. Steal away doesn't just mean heaven, it means escape, tonight. A secret plan is already in motion. The rhythm of the song becomes the heartbeat of rebellion. Hidden inside its verses are instructions: where to meet, when to move, how to watch for danger. For the enslaved, music is not only comfort, it is survival, it is communication, it is power. This is the hidden world of coded songs and whispered signals, a world where music became a language of freedom, and where every note carried the risk of death. For centuries, enslaved people across the Americas endured lives of unimaginable hardship. Ripped from their homelands, stripped of their identities, they were forced into brutal labor systems designed to break their bodies and spirits. But what history often overlooks is the extraordinary creativity and resilience with which they fought back. Rebellion wasn't always open war. It wasn't always the clash of weapons. Sometimes it was subtle, sometimes it was sung. On plantations where literacy was forbidden and punishment was severe, enslaved people developed their own forms of secret communication. They encoded messages in spirituals, work songs, and chants. They used rhythm to coordinate movement, lyrics to conceal instructions, and music to share knowledge that could not be spoken aloud. These songs were more than expressions of faith. They were resistance in its purest form. Through them, enslaved men and women preserved African traditions, created networks of solidarity, and, in moments of daring defiance, planned escapes and revolts. Why does this matter today? Because it reveals something vital. Even under systems designed to crush every form of autonomy, human beings found ways to reclaim power. It's a lesson about courage, ingenuity, and the unbreakable human will to be free. In this episode of Forgotten Chains, we will step inside this secret world of sound and symbolism. We'll explore how songs carried hidden messages, how leaders used music to orchestrate uprisings, and how these traditions shaped the very idea of freedom itself. Before chains, before plantations, there was music. Across West and Central Africa, music was never just entertainment, it was life itself. Drums carried messages across villages, rhythms marked work and ceremony, and call-and-response songs reinforced unity. Music was a living language. When millions were torn from their homes and forced onto slave ships, they carried fragments of this tradition with them. But upon arrival in the Americas, colonial authorities quickly recognized music's power and tried to control it. In some colonies, drums were banned outright, for fear that enslaved people would use them to signal rebellion. Yet the spirit of rhythm survived. Clapping, stomping, singing. These became substitutes for the forbidden drum. What could not be silenced was transformed. And out of this transformation grew something extraordinary, a new form of coded communication. Songs became layered with meaning, accessible to the community but hidden from the oppressor. Imagine a field of enslaved workers moving in rhythm. Overseers hear them singing a hymn. Wade in the water, God's gonna trouble the water. To the enslaved, the words mean more. Wade in the water was a warning. Use the rivers and streams to cover your scent from the tracking dogs. This was the double voice of spirituals. On the surface, pious devotion. Beneath it, instruction for survival. Swing low, sweet chariot. Could mean a longing for heaven, or that an underground railroad conductor was near, ready to carry people north. Songs became safe houses of meaning. They allowed enslaved communities to express despair without inviting punishment, and hope without exposing plans. Each verse carried layers, one for the oppressor, one for the oppressed. This duality demanded brilliance, to sing without revealing. Too much. To mourn, pray, and plot at once. Beyond escape, music became a tool for organizing uprisings. Consider the 1811 German Coast Uprising in Louisiana, one of the largest slave revolts in U.S. history. Survivors later described how enslaved workers used gatherings, dances, songs, and celebrations as cover to share news and strategies. Music disguised meetings that might otherwise draw suspicion. In other cases, rhythmic drumming, before bands, was used to signal when attacks should begin. Even after bands, call and response chants could send messages across fields, masking secret warnings as ordinary work songs. Imagine a night before revolt. Leaders whisper by firelight, deciding that tomorrow at noon, the strike begins. But how do they tell hundreds spread across plantations? The answer is in the song. A repeated verse, a subtle change in rhythm, a phrase that everyone understands, but no overseer notices. These codes were lifelines. Misunderstand one, and the plan could collapse. Interpret correctly, and freedom might be at hand. But rebellion was perilous. If a code was discovered, if a song was revealed to be more than just a hymn, the consequences were brutal. Whippings, torture, execution, punishments designed to terrify. Others into silence. Yet still, people sang. Still, they risked everything to preserve these channels of communication. One former enslaved man later recalled, "We sang what we dared not say." That single sentence captures both the danger and the defiance. Every song carried risk. Every hidden message was an act of courage. The tradition of coded music did not vanish with emancipation. Instead, it evolved. During the Civil Rights Movement. Of the 20th century, activists revived spirituals as anthems of protest. Songs like "We Shall Overcome" drew directly from the call and response traditions of slavery, carrying once again a dual meaning, prayer and protest. Even today, the Chiura spirituals that echo in churches and concerts carry the memory of those hidden codes. They remind us that freedom was not simply given, it was fought for, line by line, verse by verse, song by song. Music, born in pain, became a declaration of survival. And the whispers of rebellion, carried on melody, still reach us if we listen closely enough. As we look back on this hidden world of coded songs, one truth becomes clear. Enslaved people were never passive victims. They were innovators of resistance, architects of defiance, creators of a language that even oppression could not silence. What we often hear as sorrowful hymns were, in fact, bold strategies of rebellion. Every verse carried the weight of lives at stake. Every melody was a thread in the vast tapestry of survival and resistance. It's tempting to view these songs only as relics of the past, but they remain deeply relevant. In every struggle for justice today, music still serves as a weapon of unity, a way to communicate, inspire, and endure. From protest chants on the streets to anthems sung in solidarity, the spirit of coded music lives on. Most importantly, these songs remind us that resistance doesn't always look like fire and steel. Sometimes it sounds like a soft voice in the night, singing what cannot be spoken, carrying hope across the darkness. The story of enslaved music is not just about oppression. It is about the refusal to be silenced. It is about creativity born from suffering and freedom carved from despair. It is about humanity's unyielding will to fight for dignity, even when the cost was everything. If this story moved you, don't let it fade into silence. Share it. Keep these voices alive. On Forgotten Chains, we bring hidden histories to light, the stories that textbooks skim past but that deserve to be remembered. If you want to continue exploring the untold legacies of resistance, courage, and survival, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. That way, you won't miss the next journey into our shared past. And if you believe these songs still matter today, if you believe in the power of memory and music, leave a comment below. Tell us which part of this story struck you the most. Because the echoes of rebellion still sing, and the more we listen, the louder they become.